Imagine waking up tomorrow and finding out that your salary has doubled overnight. Sounds impossible, right? But here's the disturbing truth. For millions of people, the biggest reason they stay poor isn't because they earn too little. It's because they unknowingly make one decision every single day that keeps them trapped. The scary part? Most people never even realize they are doing it until decades have passed, and by then, escaping feels impossible. But one man discovered something so simple that it completely changed the direction of his life. What happened next would surprise everyone who once believed he was destined to remain average. His name doesn't matter because this story could belong to anyone. It could belong to the cashier standing 12 hours behind a counter. It could belong to the office assistant who quietly watches everyone else get promoted. It could belong to the factory worker counting the days until payday. Or maybe it belongs to you. At 24 years old, he earned just enough to survive. Every month looked exactly the same. Salary arrived. Bills swallowed most of it. Rent took another bite. Groceries finished the rest. By the final week, his bank account looked almost empty. Every unexpected expense felt like an emergency: a broken phone, a medical bill, a friend's wedding. They weren't inconveniences, they were disasters. He believed the problem was obvious. If only I earned more money, everything would be fixed. It sounded logical. Almost everyone around him believed the same thing. But the real problem was just beginning. Each morning started before sunrise. He squeezed into crowded buses, arrived at work exhausted, smiled at customers he didn't like, obeyed managers who barely knew his name, and returned home too tired to think about anything except sleeping. His dreams slowly became smaller. He stopped talking about starting a business. He stopped reading books. He stopped learning new skills. Survival became his full-time occupation. Days became weeks, weeks became years. Without realizing it, he wasn't just losing time, he was losing possibility. But nobody could have predicted what came next. One afternoon, while eating lunch alone on a cracked bench outside his workplace, he noticed an old man feeding birds. The old man looked peaceful, calm, different, somehow free. They started talking. The young worker complained about inflation, expensive rent, unfair bosses, and low salaries. The old man listened without interrupting. Then he asked one question. If I doubled your salary tomorrow, how long before your life feels normal again? The young man laughed. Probably 6 months. The old man smiled. Exactly. Those words stayed in his mind all day. What did he mean? Why wouldn't double the money solve everything? He couldn't stop thinking about it. That single conversation planted a seed that would quietly grow into something life-changing. The next weekend, he visited the old man again. This time, the old man handed him a blank notebook. Write down every single dollar that enters your life. Then write down every dollar that leaves. The young man rolled his eyes. He thought it was childish. He wanted investment secrets, stock tips, business ideas, something exciting. Instead, he got homework. Still, he respected the old man enough to try. After 30 days, the notebook revealed something shocking. It wasn't just the coffee, it wasn't just online shopping, it wasn't just eating out. It was something much bigger. Every single purchase answered one question: will this make me look successful today? Almost nothing answered the more important question: will this make me wealthier tomorrow? That realization hit harder than any financial advice he'd ever heard. But the real surprise hadn't arrived yet. The old man showed him two invisible ladders. The first ladder was called income. The second ladder was called value. Most people spend their entire lives climbing only the first ladder. They begged for raises, they changed companies, they worked overtime. They hoped inflation wouldn't destroy their progress. But very few climbed the second ladder. They became more valuable. They learned skills. They solved bigger problems. They became difficult to replace. And when that happened, income chased them instead of the other way around. At first, the young man didn't fully understand. It sounded too simple. But he decided to test it anyway. Instead of watching television every night, he spent 2 hours learning digital marketing online. He wasn't paid for it. Nobody praised him. His friends laughed. "You're working for free." His relatives asked why he looked tired all the time. His co-workers mocked him. "You think you're going to become a millionaire from YouTube videos?" Sometimes their words hurt. Sometimes he questioned himself. But something inside him refused to quit. This single decision changed everything. Months passed. Nothing happened. No promotion, no miracle, no sudden success. This is where most people quit. They expect visible rewards after invisible effort. When those rewards don't appear immediately, they return to old habits. The young man almost did the same. Then one evening, his manager asked if anyone knew how to improve the company's online sales. Nobody answered, except him. The skills he had quietly built after work suddenly became valuable. Within weeks, he was helping different departments. Within months, he received his first raise. Not because he asked, because replacing him had become expensive. But what happened next shocked everyone. His salary increased, then increased again. But something unexpected happened inside his mind. He no longer depended on that salary. Every new skill opened another door. Freelance work, small consulting projects, weekend clients. Slowly, income stopped coming from one source. It started coming from several. The pressure that once controlled his life slowly disappeared. For the first time, losing his job didn't seem like the end of the world. That feeling was worth more than the raise itself. But success brought a new danger. His friends noticed. Suddenly, everyone wanted advice. Some copied his habits for a week, others for a month. Almost all of them gave up. Why? Because improving your life is boring before it becomes exciting. Learning after work feels unfair. Saving money feels painful. Building skills feels invisible. There are no applause, no instant rewards, only delayed results. Most people underestimate delayed results because they overestimate quick pleasures. And that mistake quietly steals decades from their lives. But the biggest test was still waiting. A global economic slowdown hit. Companies started firing employees. People panicked. Every lunch break became another conversation about layoffs. Fear spread through the office like wildfire. Names disappeared from employee lists overnight. People who had worked there for 15 years suddenly packed boxes and walked away. The young man felt the same fear everyone else did. His heart raced every morning. Would today be his last day? Would everything disappear? Then something incredible happened. Instead of firing him, the company asked him to help increase revenue. His extra skills had transformed him from an expense into an asset. That difference protected him when hundreds of others weren't so lucky. But nobody could have predicted what came next. Several former co-workers called him for help. One admitted he had earned more than the young man for nearly 10 years. Yet he had nothing saved, no investments, no emergency fund, no extra skills, no backup income. His larger salary had created a larger lifestyle, not greater freedom. Another coworker confessed something heartbreaking. I kept waiting for life to become easier, but life never did. Bills simply became bigger. The young man finally understood what the old man meant years earlier. A higher salary doesn't automatically create wealth. Without changing your habits, more income simply creates more expensive problems. That lesson changed how he viewed money forever. He stopped buying things to impress strangers. He started buying assets. He stopped chasing luxury. He chased knowledge. He stopped asking, "What can I afford?" He asked, "Will this make future me stronger?" Those questions quietly transformed every financial decision he made. Years passed. He wasn't driving a supercar. He wasn't living in a mansion. Social media probably wouldn't notice him, but something extraordinary had happened. His investments generated income. His freelance clients continued paying. His skills kept increasing. His confidence no longer depended on one employer. He finally owned something priceless: options. Most people think freedom looks glamorous: private jets, luxury watches, exotic vacations. But real freedom often looks ordinary: sleeping peacefully, ignoring toxic bosses because you have alternatives, helping your parents without checking your bank balance, taking time off without fear, saying no without panic. That's what money eventually buys. Not status, choices. But there was one final lesson the old man wanted him to understand. One afternoon, they met again on the same park bench where everything had started. The old man asked him another question. If your salary disappeared tomorrow, what would remain? This time the young man smiled. My skills. The old man nodded. And nobody can take those away. That sentence explained everything. Employers can reduce salaries, economies can collapse, currencies can lose value, markets can crash, technology can replace jobs. But skills travel with you, knowledge travels with you, discipline travels with you, your habits travel with you. That's why some people rebuild fortunes after losing everything, while others never recover after losing one paycheck. The difference isn't luck, it's what exists inside them after the money disappears. Think about the richest people you admire. Most of them didn't simply earn more, they became more valuable. They solved bigger problems. They developed uncommon abilities. Money followed value, not the other way around. Now imagine two people earning exactly the same low salary today. The first spends every evening escaping reality. The second spends every evening quietly building a future nobody else can see. For months, they look identical. For years, they might even appear identical. Then suddenly, one gets opportunities that seem almost magical. People call it luck, but luck rarely tells the full story. Behind every overnight success are thousands of invisible nights. That's the part the world never applauds. The young man eventually became financially comfortable, not because he discovered a secret investment, not because he won the lottery, not because someone rescued him. He simply refused to remain the same person year after year. He invested in the one asset that appreciates even during difficult times: himself. If you're earning a low salary today, don't let that become your identity. A paycheck measures what someone is willing to pay you today. It does not measure your future value. It does not measure your potential. It does not decide where your story ends. The most dangerous sentence in the world isn't, I don't have enough money. It's, this is just who I am. Because the moment you believe that, growth stops. But the moment you decide to become more valuable than you were yesterday, something incredible begins. Your confidence changes, your decisions change, your friendships change, your opportunities change. Eventually, your income has no choice but to catch up. The world rarely rewards people for working harder forever. It rewards people for becoming harder to replace. So the next time you receive your salary, don't only ask whether it's enough. Ask whether you are becoming worth more than you were last month. That single question can quietly change the next 10 years of your life. Because the people who escape low salaries aren't always the smartest. They aren't always the luckiest. They aren't always born into wealthy families. They're simply the ones who understand a truth that most people discover far too late. Your salary can feed your present, but your skills create your future. And the moment you stop working only for money and start working to increase your value, you're no longer trapped by the number on your paycheck. You're building a life where every new skill becomes another key. Every disciplined choice becomes another brick, and every small sacrifice becomes another step toward freedom. One day, people will look at your success and call it luck. Only you will remember the nights nobody saw, the doubts nobody heard, and the decision that changed everything. The day you stopped asking for a bigger paycheck and started becoming a bigger person.